Hello, hello, and welcome to Verbling. I'm teacher Oakley, and at this particular hour, as we did yesterday and we will do for the next 2 days, we're going to be looking at the TOEFL speaking test. Today, in today's particular class, we're going to concentrate on the first two questions. These are independent questions. Just get a question and answer the question. A preference question and a choice question that you have to do a little comparison and contrast with. Anyway, that's the plan. Welcome to the class, Cornell. Hello, hello.
Hi, Oakley. How are you? Were you on holiday or?
I certainly was.
I haven't met for ages.
Yeah. That's absolutely correct. Yes, I have been on holiday. Took a little trip to the seaside.
Seaside, where? Where have you been there?
Well, it just here.
I am very curious.
Well, I live in the Philippines, you know, so it's not too far to get to the seaside, and I just stayed with some of my in-laws.
Yeah.
Well, for a couple days, and then I went to a hotel in another part of the coast and did a lot of stuff with my kids. Went to the zoo and went swimming with the dolphins and stuff like that.
Oakley, by the way, have you been enjoying the life in Philippines?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sun is shining, yes?
That's the part I enjoy the least, actually. The sun is hot. Yeah.
How many degrees are there?
I think today, well, okay, this time of year is actually the summer. April, May, and June are actually the summer, and it's actually today, I think it's about 38 degrees, 36 to 40 degrees. Every day.
It is quite hot.
Yeah, and it never rains for 3 months, and then it'll be the rainy season, which you're thankful for because then it cools down a little bit, not a lot, but cools down to 30, 32.
Yeah, and Oakley, are there any or is there any difference between 36 degrees in US and in Philippines? And in other countries, it is better or worse?
Depends where you are. USA is a big country, of course. If it's 36 degrees in Arizona, it's very dry and it's not really all that bad, and it's breezy. If it's 36 degrees in the South, like in Georgia or Louisiana, it's deadly because the humidity is like 100%, very close to it. It's really, really high, and it's terrible. It's hard to even breathe. Compared to that, here in the Philippines, well, it's the same exact weather every single day. The skies are pristine, perfectly blue. Amazingly, we have a few clouds today, which that's unusual, and there's usually no breeze at all. So you just bake in an oven, and all the houses are made of concrete and plaster, so they just absorb the heat, and everyone has tin roofs, and so you're just cooking, and it doesn't cool down at night either. It cools down, but it doesn't really cool down for some reason. It doesn't really seem to be cooling down until like 2 in the morning. So it's only really cool from 2, and then after the sun rises an hour, 7 in the morning, it was already 34 degrees.
Yeah. And I have another funny question. Do you wear sunglasses like brand Oakley?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do, because I got a couple pairs for Christmas. So, yeah, I have that.
It was a joke. It was a joke.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I got for Christmas Oakley sunglasses and an Oakley a hat, a
Uh-huh.
baseball hat. So
Yes, okay.
yeah. So actually, yes, I do. Uh, kind of embarrassing, but true. Okay. Anyway, yeah. All right. Good to see you again. All right, here we are. Now, now the class. All right. Let's talk about the TOEFL speaking exam, and we're going to actually practice today. Questions 1 and 2. These are just independent questions, preference questions. I'd like to demonstrate. I mentioned in yesterday's class I was doing an overview, and I was talking about how the TOEFL exam is a lot different than IELTS, the speaking part. Other parts of the test are really not that far off from the reading, the listening are quite similar. Even the writing is quite similar, but the speaking is the one part of these two exams that is a lot different. Why? Hi, Samira.
Hello, teacher.
Hi. How are you today?
Fine, thank you.
Okay. Um, while the IELTS test will reward you for trying to step out of the box and use idiomatic language, use ellipsis, dropping sounds. They'll reward you for attempting really complex grammatical structure. TOEFL really doesn't. They want you to do exactly what they want you to do, and that's it. The advice that I give you today, and Samira, this is especially for you, as I know you're practicing for an IELTS exam. Today I'm giving advice, and I'm going to show you something about doing the TOEFL speaking test. I'm actually going to suggest and show you examples of a template, because you basically, that's what they want you to do. They want you to speak in one structured, very specific way. The exam is timed, so you only have today's questions, part 1 and part 2. You only have, get this, 15 seconds to prepare, and then you're timed. It's a computerized test, 45 seconds to speak. So you've got to get your points in a very structured way very quickly. They're not going to let you go off tangent and then maybe bring the conversation back as they would in IELTS. You've just got to directly make your points. So you can't fool around, in other words. To my mind, for the TOEFL exam, the best thing to do is basically for each, the question types are a little bit different. The question types today, basically you're going to use the same kind of template, which I'm going to show you, and we're going to practice. The question types we have today, although, these are there's 6 questions total in the TOEFL exams. What we're looking at today, part 1 and part 2, are question types that you would get in the IELTS exam, actually. So good practice for you. Samira, I'm glad you're here. It will be useful for you today, especially. But I want you, because I know you're getting ready for IELTS, I'm going to talk about the templates and show them to you just briefly. You may ignore them.
Okay.
Not as useful for IELTS. In fact, probably not a good idea for IELTS. But for TOEFL, definitely useful, in my opinion. Okay, let's take a look-see here. Okay, Cornell, I'm going to have you try a question, and then I'm going to share kind of a templated response. See how closely you match up. Cornell, here's your question. Describe a place you would like to visit and explain why you chose this location. Of course,
Okay.
use details and examples as much as you can.
Me and my family would like to go Rome because It's one of the largest historical town or city in the world, and there are many remarkable sites in Rome. And I am a huge history fan, and I also would like to see the Colosseum and Forum Romana and so on. And weather is beautiful in spring and autumn in Italy, and I also would like to avoid the crowded places in Rome. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, and that's about all the time you had, so that was actually pretty good. Okay, very good. I would like to go to Rome. Just one small comment. I think you kind of just forgot to say to Rome, but other than that, hey, that was kind of a miracle. Is that really, Cornell? Really, you want to go to Rome?
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Within 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
and
just
we also would like to go back in Salu. Salu can be located in Spain, approximately 100 kilometers from Barcelona.
okay. All right. Now
It's
the reason, okay, the reason that I'm asking you is because let
yeah,
me do a screen.
a reason that we were there in 2011, and it was magnificent.
Okay.
And there is a amazing and DM park in Salou, one of the largest in Europe. Uh,
Uh,
name is Port Aventura.
okay. All right. Well, okay. Your first example was kind of what a coincidence. All right. I was going to show you this example of kind of a template. Here's your question. Describe a place you would like to visit and explain why you chose this location. Now, look at it, the templated response. Okay. All right. I would like to visit Italy. Quite a coincidence.
I
Okay.
didn't cheat. I didn't cheat.
Okay. No, I didn't provide this information, so I don't know how you could have. Um, it's just kind of funny. Okay, here's kind of a templated response. I just want to quickly zip through this. Now, in reality, you have 45 seconds, and in 45 seconds, frankly, it would be a miracle if you could say all this in 45 seconds, because a normal person is going to speak roughly 8 sentences a minute at a normal pace. So at 45 seconds, you're lucky if you get 6 sentences. And considering they would like you to use compound and or complex sentences, you'd be awfully lucky to say all of this. But here's a basic template. Okay, I would like to visit Italy, which basically is what Cornell did. He said, I would like to go to Rome. My family and I would like to go to Rome. Great. All right, in other words, an introductory topic sentence to introduce. You're basically speaking a paragraph. So you're basically going to use academic style paragraphing topic sentence and then supporting ideas. All right. Like this, I would like to visit Italy. Reason number one, I would choose to visit Italy because it has a lot of history. And then, this is basically what TOEFL wants you to do. Give a reason, give some detail in a second sentence. For example, Italy has many interesting Roman ruins. It would be interesting to see these historic sites. Again with the history, Cornell. This is like a miracle. Very strange. But okay. Anyway, all right. And then another reason I would like to visit Italy is for the culture. And another sentence with detail. Italy has been home to many great artists and and the museums there contain some of the most famous works of art. What a coincidence. Okay. All right. And then if you can get there, a third reason. Don't worry if you can't. Finally, I would like to visit Italy to sample the food. And another sentence with detail. Very simple format, but this is what TOEFL wants. So, which is basically what Cornell did, almost exactly. Great. Okay, now that's basically it. That's what TOEFL wants you to do. If you get cut off before you get to the third reason or whatever, or if you get cut off halfway through some of your detail, do not worry about that. TOEFL does not, you do not get points off or marks off for not concluding or if you get cut off, because it is recorded, and the recording stops at exactly 45 seconds, so don't worry about getting cut off or timing it just right. That's not anything to, you've got enough to worry about without worrying about that. Okay, so another thing I would draw your attention to is, which is also important in IELTS, is the fact that, okay, compound sentence with a connective, with a conjunction, because, and then transitional, for example, then the next sentence, another reason. Now you don't need to use a connective or a signal word or signal phrase for every sentence, but as you can see from this example, you know, 1, 2, 3, finally, 4. Okay, you answer a question, he's got 4 different types of connectives or transitionals. That's what they want to see. They will expect you to use different ones. So the next time, you know, instead of because, due to the fact, or for instead of, for example, you know, change it around. There are many Roman ruins, such as, okay. Another important point is, all right, so use a mix of these. That's, I can't really stress how important that is, both in IELTS and in TOEFL. So this is it. This is what TOEFL basically wants you to do. It's pretty straightforward. For questions 1 and 2, it's quite simple. Topic, sentence, reason, detail, reason, detail, reason, detail. That's basically all you have to remember. Tomorrow and the next day's class, it gets more complicated because you have to talk about reading and an audio piece, and you have to connect them together, and then reported speech, talk about what the reading says compared to what the people say. So it's a little, the kind of a templated response is a little more complex. But that's it. Basically, now we practice. Okay, so Samira, let's try question number 1, type for you. Again, basically, first independent task for TOEFL is a description. You're going to describe a person, place, object, event, and why you chose this as an example. So very similar, as you know, to many IELTS questions. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. What is your favorite way of getting around? Describe it and explain why it is your favorite means of transportation.
Okay.
Okay. Shoot. When you're
Okay.
ready.
As all people in this world, I like to travel a lot. So I prefer to use car every time when I go out or hanging out with my friends or wherever I'm going to. For example, if I because I'm living in Europe, I can use my car everywhere. For example, if I'm going to Greece or I'm going to Austria, Germany, whatever I like. I don't like other kinds of modal transport. For example, I don't like flights. I don't like trains. So the best thing for me is a car, and my car is big, and that's the reason why I use it all the time. And I know maybe it's not really healthy for myself, but because I don't move enough, but I still love it.
Okay. Okay. All right. I didn't time you. From now on, the rest of the class, I'll be timing you, but I didn't time you there. I was just letting you go and not worry about it. I should have told you that. Okay. That's basically it. All right. Pick something. What is okay? One note here. What is the correct answer? Is that your correct answer? Is that really? You prefer to travel
No,
by car?
no,
No,
not at all.
not at all. Great. Good. Good for you, because that's just what I was going to say. The correct answer is not necessarily the correct answer. The correct answer is whatever you can talk about in with more detail. You know the vocabulary. You're more familiar with it. You're doesn't have to be true. So very
Hmm.
good. I couldn't even tell you were lying. Great. Okay. Now, all right. Were you able to give me a point in detail? Okay. I think so. And another thing that you did, which I would like to illustrate as a good point, as a good example, your points, point detail. Your points, they don't have to be true. They can also be a negative point. That's
Hmm.
actually a good thing. So you said you
Yeah.
pointed out that you don't like trains.
Yes.
That's great. You point out that many people travel by trains in Europe, but I don't really like to travel by trains, and because blah 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 blah. Okay, it's an easy way to make a point and add detail because you can explain why you don't like something. That
Hmm.
actually makes your job a little bit easier, and it's very easy to use a because um, clause to explain it. So actually, that was pretty good. Um, One small thing for as far as English, it's probably not really healthy for myself.
For myself.
For me, you should just say for
Uh-huh.
me. It's
Okay.
because you only use the reflexive myself when well, there's a couple reasons. Like I made it myself to uh, well, that's two reasons. If your subject noun is I, that's when you use myself as the object. I went there all by myself. I did the dishes by myself. Uh, I'm going to pick out a new ski parka by myself. Okay, for myself. All right. When I is the subject, that's when you use the reflexive. When the subject and the object are the same, that's when you use the myself, yourself, themselves, ourselves, whatever.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So it could simply be me. It's probably not very healthy for me.
Hmm. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Sure. Timing was pretty good though. Okay. Let's try a couple more. Cornell, your turn. Mm, haha. Let's try this one. Many questions in TOEFL, and actually also Also in IELTS, but IELTS, they tend to be question part number 2, where you give a lengthy description, but in TOEFL, question number 1, often about people. Cornell, who is the most intelligent person you know? Describe the person and say why you think he or she is intelligent.
Personal presence, or yeah,
What?
in my life.
Yeah.
In fact, it is in fact it is not a easy question to
No.
to 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 answer. But my previous work experience, all of my previous bosses were the most intelligent person who I knew I know, because uh, both of them respects my opinion, and it is a lot to do my work individually, and also in a team, and yeah. And
Okay.
I am thinking of it because, as I mentioned before, it is not easy to answer. Yeah,
Yeah.
I learned many things from them. For example, leading attributes and handling the personal problem in the workplaces. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Now, here's where you went wrong. Okay. First of all, in where this may be, this is not maybe, this is a good strategy for IELTS. All right. Think about 2 aspects of the question and then talk about the 2 aspects. Gives you a lot more to talk about, and you can add a lot of extra detail. So thinking about 2 people for an IELTS exam, good idea. For a TOEFL exam, bad idea, because you only have 45 seconds, and you the whole key with IELTS, you can ramble on. And then I got stung by a bumblebee, and I fell in the river, and I lost my shoe, and you can tell stories, and that's fine. That's great for IELTS. Not in TOEFL. You only have those 45 seconds, and you have to be very direct and concise with your information. You really just don't have a choice. I should have given you 15 seconds. You started kind of right off. I should let you guys take a few seconds, 10 or 15 seconds. In the real exam, you'd have 15 seconds before having you start, because I definitely could have used it there. One small English point, we say on a team. I know it seems like it should be in a team, but in English we always use on a team as a preposition. So I think that's where you went wrong. So you kind of got you got stuck. What were you going to say about the 2 different people? And so you've got to. The problem is that clock, that 45-second clock. You've got to start talking about something directly and immediately in order to get your points in before the clock ran out. Because basically the clock would have run out on you there. And part of that was my fault. I should have given you 15 seconds. Ken, good day. Hello. Hi, Ken.
Yes, hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Are you ready to give it a try? TOEFL question 1.
Question 1, and how many seconds?
15 seconds to prepare, and then 45 seconds speaking time.
45 seconds. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Here you go. This one should be easy, more or less. give you a place again. Okay, Ken, talk about an interesting tourist attraction you have been to. Describe it and say why it was interesting. Okay, please begin.
Okay. Uh, One of my tourist attraction I've been, and one of the most attractive tourist attraction I've ever been is Kyoto, because Kyoto used to be a capital. It preserved the old Japanese atmosphere, which I didn't feel in any other town in Japan. And see some famous architecture there or temple or shrine there, and I had seen it beforehand in the picture, but after I actually went there, I realized atmosphere is pretty different from the picture. So I got a real kind of presence of such kind of traditional architecture in Japan. That's why I chose Kyoto. It's one of the most a fantastic tourist attraction I've ever been.
Okay, that was about a minute. You would have been cut off. I realized it was a lot. It was a lot different. It was real different. Ding, bell would have cut you off there. Okay, couple things. First of all, again, it's all about the stupid clock in this TOEFL test. So, in the real test, you would actually see the question, and I was trying to paste it into the verbally chat, and it wasn't going, but anyway, I will try to do that from now on. You will actually be able to read the question. You will actually see the timer and the clock, and the timer will be, it's a countdown clock, so you'll see 45, 44, 43, 42, 41, and there's a little bar, and the bar goes down, so even if you're not looking at the numbers, you'll see when the bar is about to disappear. Timing's over. So as soon as you see that, I think it's green or blue, now I don't remember, but anyway, as soon as you see that bar, begin speaking, and you see the bar, you've got to be ready to start speaking in a half a second. If you pause for 3, 4, 5 seconds, you will lose points. If you're still collecting your thoughts, you've got to be ready with your first sentence immediately. Okay. Secondly, your first sentence, your topic sentence, got to be short and direct. Actually, by the time you got to the word Kyoto, which you could have said, okay, a tourist attraction that I really liked is the city of Kyoto. You could say that in about 8 seconds. However, by the time you got to Kyoto, your countdown clock was at 28. So that means you'd taken 17 seconds. You're almost half done, and you've only given your topic sentence. Ideally, you would say something about it and then some detail, which you did, and then another different aspect and some detail, at least. And basically, you were able to introduce it and give one reason and an example. You got a little, with your delivery in the beginning, I went, I've been to, I've been, you got a little repetitive, a little repeating there. You got to try to avoid that because, again, with the clock. Okay, I think you missed 2. I've been to. Okay. And you definitely would have kind of more or less run out of time before you really were finished there. All right, so there's a couple points there. Let's try question 2. Basically, talking about the kind of formatted answer, topic, sentence, reason or point, detail, reason or point, detail. Okay, we're going to try a round of question 2 in the TOEFL exam. This question is going to present you with 2 actions, 2 options, 2 situations, perhaps 2 opinions. It will ask you to state which you prefer and why. So it's more like an opinion type question instead of the first one, more of a description. It doesn't matter which position you choose to support, but how clearly you support it is what you're being scored on. Absolutely, just like in question 1, talking about 2 things, not a good idea. So it's a terrible idea to try to answer in 45 seconds, well, I like one, but I also like the other. And here's one reason why I like the first one. There's another reason why I like the second one. You choose one. You just don't have time to debate your opinion. You just don't. So pick one and run with it. Samira, are you ready?
For task 2?
For task 2, yes.
I'm ready.
Choose an option. This is similar to a type of question you may have in IELTS in Part 3, actually. Okay, here we go. Actually, a question Cornell and I were discussing before you came to class. Okay, Samira, some people prefer to live in a cool climate while others prefer to live in a hot climate. If you had the choice, where would you prefer to live and why? Okay, I'm going to give you 15 seconds to consider that. Okay, please begin now.
Okay, I was born in Russia, and I really know what does cold mean. So right now I'm living in Bulgaria, and it's still be cold here. My dream is to move somewhere where climate is hotter, but not a place like Dubai because it's too hot for me. But Italy is just a perfect place, I believe. I believe it's actually something like a paradise on this planet. I actually know what some states in the USA, okay, are hot enough and are really good for living. But if I would say about am I done actually? Okay.
Actually, you were done. Your time ran out, I would say, about. You said I would say about, your time would have been cut off right there.
Okay.
So, fortunately, before you self-corrected or repeated, that self-correction or repetition would have been cut off. So that's good. Yeah. Okay, that was pretty good, actually. All right, small corrections. I know what does cold mean. Okay. In English, we would probably say, so I know what cold is. Or you could say, I know what cold means. But you don't need that.
Okay.
Right? Because it's not a negative, it's not a question. There's no need for does. I know what cold means. Okay, a couple connectives, I believe. I actually something, whatever you said. There's a couple connectives, and a because in there, I think. I think there's 3. I might have missed one. I don't know. Okay, not bad. All right. You did talk about 2 things with a specific example. Italy. Okay, a couple places in the United States. Actually, that was not bad. That would be top tier answer. Now, again, just a reminder, TOEFL score 0, like 0.51, 1.52, 2.53, up to 4. That's it. Exactly right. And then that's your raw score. I think that seriously would have been at least a 3, maybe 3.5. So you basically got the job done. In TOEFL, there's no point in being too fancy. You don't have time to be fancy. It's just getting the job done. Just straight to the point, as much as possible. you can't be too flowery and worried about lengthy metaphors and telling stories. You basically got to get right to the point because you don't have time for anything else. Okay, nice job, Samira.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Cornell, let's give you one here.
I am waiting for the easy question.
The easy question? Well, I don't know. I think some people would think this is really easy and some people would think this is really hard. I don't know how you would think. I don't know. Here we go. All right, here it is. Some companies require people to dress in suits and ties. Others allow casual dress. Which one would you prefer? Use examples and personal experiences to support your answer. I will give you 15 seconds, starting now.
Okay, let's start. It depends on company culture, and there is a meeting and customer visiting the company, but casual things to wear is on Friday. It is jeans day in business life, and I would prefer to wear casual jeans and something like that rather than tie because it is very formal, but it is mandatory to wear some business meeting and when our supplier or customers visit at the company.
Okay, well, you're way over time there.
Yes.
I think about the time you said something like that was about the time your time would have run out. And go ahead and take the 15 seconds. On the actual TOEFL test, I can't remember, actually. Again, I can't remember. If you're allowed to skip, I don't think you're allowed to skip anyway. You have to take the 15 seconds countdown preparation time. I don't think you're allowed to just skip it regardless. But anyway, okay. All right. So go ahead and take the time and think about that first sentence and just, if you can, brainstorm in that 15 seconds. Obviously, you have to decide which way you're going to go. It's a choice question. Pick your choice. Just think about that first sentence. What is the first sentence you're going to say? And maybe quickly think about why. 2 points, just why. 2 reasons why. And that's about all you have time to brainstorm. And then do your best. Okay. Kind of got lost in your organization when you jumped from, okay, I followed you. All right, you're talking about if there's customers or there's an important meeting, then you need to wear more formal clothes. And then you jumped to casual Fridays or whatever, jeans Fridays, kind of without one of those transitional phrases. Something like a contrasting, like, on the other hand, I've worked in companies where they have casual Fridays, and you get to wear jeans on Friday, and it's sometimes called Jean Fridays, and I really enjoy that. Okay, you needed that transitional there, for sure. You absolutely needed it for clarity, and anyway, you need it because TOEFL wants it. Okay, all right, so take the time next time. Ken, your turn.
Yes, same format. 15
Same one.
Seconds, and 45 seconds speaking.
That's it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, right. There's a famous one. This one actually comes up in TOEFL all the time. This is a very real one. Okay. Here it is. Some college and university students believe it is important to focus solely on their academic studies, while others see extracurricular activities such as clubs and sports as a valuable part of their educational experience. Which approach do you think is best? And I will give you 15 seconds starting now. Okay, please begin.
Okay, wait a moment. Okay, yes, I think it's up to the goal, the students of the student, because if the students remain as a researcher, they definitely they need to focus on the study, in academic study. But ordinary students, after they graduated, they have to work. In a working situation, some other activities can be evaluated in job interviews. So I think in general, students focus not only focus on their study, but also kind of doing some other activities like sports circle or volunteer works or part-time work experience. And such experience is better for ordinary students. That's my answer.
And that's your time. Okay. Now that was definitely an improvement. That was definitely better. One thing, my critique would be that it was. I know you're okay. You got the idea of the clock. Well, two critiques. One, you really didn't start. I said, okay, begin, and you said, well, wait a second. Okay, and then 5 seconds later, you started. You're just gonna lose points. You gotta jump out of the gate like a sprinter, like an Olympic sprinter, with this TOEFL test. You can't waste time
Maybe
in the
after
blocks.
TOEFL test, timer is on the screen, so
Yes, it
I'm
is.
setting the timer. So.
Not me just going go. That's right. You're absolutely right about that. Okay, one small critique, and the other, I think you have a little bit of an accent, which is not any problem at all when you're talking to me and we're just talking, normally. But actually, when you're trying to go fast, there's one or two words I didn't understand what you said. Other activities can be something. For example, in an interview. I don't know what word you said. Other activities can be what? Useful? Be brought up? I have no idea what you said. I think there was another spot. But that's basically it. In other words, your pace was a little fast for me. Okay, here's the thing. I know I keep talking about the clock, but try to understand in the TOEFL exam, yeah, you got to get those ideas out there, but it's more important to have good delivery. Delivery is 1/3 of your score. So your content is 1/3 of your score too. So you're doing a balancing act, and then 1/3 of your score in TOEFL is grammar and vocabulary. Don't worry about that third. So what you're worried about here, you're kind of trying to balance the delivery, having a nice even flow of speech and talking in a normal way, not sounding like you're panicking. If you sound like you're panicking and you're talking like this, you're going to lose points for sure. That's not a smooth delivery. You need to sound confident and casual. You're balancing that with getting enough content in there. Content, it's just got to be enough. It doesn't have to be great. You don't have to sound like a professor. You don't have to. They don't even care if you. Great, if you can fit in an idiom or something. They don't care. Formal, informal language doesn't really matter. It's just trying to get basically those 2 points. You got to get 2 points in there, and that will fulfill your content. If you get cut off while you're in the middle of your second point, if you have a nice delivery, that's not going to cost you anything. It's okay. Anyway, it's all about balancing the content and the delivery. You got to get enough content in there, but you've got to have smooth delivery as well. That includes pauses, repetition, self-correction, and the like. Okay. Samira, would you like question 1 or a question 2? Choice question or description question?
I would prefer the first one.
Would you now? Then I'll give you the second one. No,
Correct.
Just kidding. No. Okay, but I'm going to give you a difficult one, challenging.
I know. They're more difficult than the second one, I think.
You do? Yeah. Well, that's funny you say that, because students I've taught in the past, TOEFL, some think number 1 is harder, and others think the second one's harder. So, okay. Anyway, here you go. All right. Now this one is about an object. Describing an object can be, I think, in my opinion, it can be a lot more difficult than describing places or people. Okay. Here's your question. What is your most important possession? Describe it and say why it is so important. I will give you 15 seconds starting now.
What is possession? Help!
Help! Okay. Okay. All right, time out then. Time out for a second. Okay. Yeah. Well, what is your most important possession? Okay. All right, if this should happen, all right, this is a good point. What if you get stuck with a question with a word that you don't know? Heaven forbid. Okay. What do you think it is by looking at it in context?
As you say, this must be a subject, right? No, it must be object. Object, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Nothing more.
I didn't say that. I gave you a... Okay. So basically that's it. What is your most important object you own? Possession means you possess it. You own it.
Okay.
So what is the most important thing you own? But if you can see the question. So and you also hear the narrator. You both hear it and see it. So you hear it and you look at it. Try to, before you panic and freak out and jump out a window, try to see if you can. All right, S-I-O-N. I know that's a common suffix. Try to get rid of suffixes or prefixes, simple ones like I-M or U-N or whatever. P-R-E, those are common beginnings. I-O-N, common endings. Get rid of and see if you can find a root word in there that maybe you do know. That's one technique. And also look at it the context. What is your most important beep? It can't be a person because you don't have a most important person. That is not, sentence structure isn't right. What is your most important place? No, that can't be right. It's got to be a thing. Okay. So think about context and try to work it out that way. Okay, anyway, all right. I'm going to give you your your 15 seconds.
Okay, thank you.
Starting now. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Oops. Okay. I gave you 5 extra seconds. All right. Please begin.
All right. In my house, the most important thing is my cat. We are together for 10 years, and I still love her very much. Sometimes her name is actually Lazy, which is really interesting. She actually never act as a lazy. She actually sometimes act as me. We have the same behavior, and sometimes we can fight. Sometimes we just have a good time together. She likes to listen to music with me, and what else? And she likes to eat a lot. Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right. Not so bad. Of course, verb tense is going to be important there. Samira, we are friends for 10 years. We have been friends for 10 years.
Okay. Yes.
Got it. Great place to use that present perfect tense, which is definitely going to help in your scoring, most certainly. In fact, much like the IELTS question 2, where it's a good idea to say, I would like to tell you about the most fabulous restaurant I have ever been to. Same here. When you're talking about your favorites, you're describing your favorites in question 1. I would like to tell you about the best thing I own in the world. It gives you a chance to use a superlative structure, and if it's a place, then you can say the best place I've ever been, the most romantic place I've ever been, depending on what the question is. This is a great chance to use a present perfect and a comparison structure, well, superlative. Great opportunity to get in a different, more complex verb tense. Okay, and anyway, you said your cat can, which is ironic or whatever word you used, he doesn't act as a lazy. He doesn't act lazy.
Okay.
Right. Okay, he doesn't act as me. He doesn't act the way I do. I can't remember exactly what you were saying, but he doesn't act lazy. Right.
Okay.
Okay, other than that, you had a lot of detail there. Great. Now I have to ask you again, is that true? Is your cat named Lazy?
Yes.
He should be named Noisy.
You're right.
Okay. Anyway, any last questions about TOEFL questions 1 and 2? Because I'm afraid we're out of time.
Yeah,
Tomorrow.
Kyle, the 45 seconds is difficult. Maybe,
Yes, it
but,
is.
maybe how can I balance the content and the talking speed in 45 seconds?
Yeah, basically, you know what it is? You have to, like we talked before you joined the class, you have to talk in a templated way, a short, quick, to-the-point topic sentence.
Mm-hmm.
The first reason is, or the first point I'd like to make is, blah, 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 blah. I say this because blah, 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 blah. My second point is very, very, very direct. Actually,
Okay.
not really colorful English speech at all. Actually, quite boring. Actually, the fact is, in order to balance this, you've got to be so direct that your speech for TOEFL is actually quite boring. I don't think it's possible to be very interesting in a TOEFL exam. In IELTS, you can be funny, you can tell stories, you can be colorful. I don't think that's possible in a TOEFL exam. You have to be dry and boring and direct. I hate this test.
Kind of.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's
it's so colorless.
Yeah.
It's colorless and bland,
Right.
and I don't know what to tell you. It's really kind of depressing.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. All right. Okay.
One.
Yeah. What's that, Samira?
It's the hardest one from all our tests. What we have, like IELTS, Cambridge, it's the hardest. Actually.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's very challenging. But it just takes a lot of practice, and memorize exactly what you're going to do before you do it. Because unlike IELTS, where you have no idea where they're coming from, actually the structure and question type is exactly the same in TOEFL. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know exactly what type of question is coming. So you can plan and template your response and just fill in the content words. Just takes a lot of practice, so it's automatic. you're best off being a robot in this exam, in other words. Okay, I gotta go because I'm already late for another class, but thank you very much, guys.